What is up, Cabbage Crew? It is Matt and John here for episode 20 of the Cabbage Crew podcast. Here we are, John. It has been 20 episodes, and we're still doing it.
We're somehow still alive.
Still doing it. Still doing it. If you guys have not checked out our previous, we're kind of going out of order, but it's going to be up at this point. Check out our Anime Con podcast. I think that was episode 19, maybe episode 18, maybe 19. Episode 19 was the Anime Con. Someone's getting toad. So check out episode 19, where we talk about our Anime Con experience, some fun moments during that. As promised, every 10 episodes, we're going to be doing a top 10. Episode 10 of our podcast, our first top 10, was places that we would want to visit on vacation in the Avatar: The Last Airbender world. This time around, we're going to be doing animals that we find fun, interesting, fascinating.
Those are the right descriptions I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, just not like, and I guess we have different ideologies, so this might go into a little bit of our actual ranking, but just animals that we think are unique, a kind of a cool combo of like thinking of those two animals together, as well as any powers or abilities those animals may have. So, John, do you want to tell a little story or anything before we start? Anything in mind?
No.
That's a no. All right, so real quick, just to explain the Cabbage Crew calculus. So essentially, it is not John's top 10. It is not my top 10. We write down our top 15 each of the whatever category we're doing, 1 through 15. Whatever we would add those together. So if John says, a specific animal is his favorite, 1, and mine is the 10th favorite, 10, we would add it together to equal 11. And then we go from order from there. So all because it's John's favorite doesn't mean it's going to make it as number 1. If it is not in the top 15, it automatically gets a 20 for a score. So it's very rare for something that is not in the top 15 of either myself or John to actually make it into the top 10, because that means it would have to be super, super high for the other person. Did I explain that well?
You explained it well, Sir Matt.
Well enough. Well, John, let's talk about some honorable mentions. Honorable mentions. Anything that did not make. Do you have the top 10 next to you?
Yes, I do.
Anything that didn't make the top 10 that you want to talk about?
Honestly, Old Slim, the River Gator.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was actually a gator cat.
Yeah, because they're trying to do like a catfish gator. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a bad one. I don't know if it made my top 15 or not. I don't know if I didn't put it in my top 15 or not. It just, to be honest, it's a gator with whiskers.
But it's Old Slim.
It's Old Slim.
You don't need no blood, because that's people food.
I wish we saw those animals in the swamp episode for Korra.
Yeah, awesome.
I don't know if we did. I know we mentioned, which neither of us put in our top 15, but the turtle duck.
Yeah.
Turtle duck didn't make it. I know you put pretty high, and it did not make it. The serpent from Serpent's Pass.
Yes.
It didn't make mine. It is cool, but it's just a serpent. Like, it's just, it's at the end of the day, that could have been a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
Right.
It's just a serpent. A cool serpent, but it's just a serpent. Same with, there's a couple of couple of them that didn't make the list that it's like, I mean, that's again alligator. It's just kind of an alligator with whiskers. Um, One that didn't make the list. Just double checking to make sure it didn't make the list. Which I would say is probably the coolest part of this episode is the canyon crawlers.
You were hyper fixated on those.
I had them high. Where did I have them? Like maybe six,
You had them at 7.
seven. Yeah, I thought they were cool. I mean, I don't. I mean, they're just cool insects, I guess.
They're canyon crawlers. I don't see what's unique about them. There's
It's
no,
yeah,
it's just
it's one of. God,
no, I was just gonna say one thing about just they just were like uh with me they were a very familiar type of bug.
mm,
I don't know what kind of bug they were.
speaking of Yu-Gi-Oh card,
It was like a fly and something else mixed.
yeah, it's
Um,
it's one of the animals that we don't see often in the Avatar world, which is just a created animal, like
yeah,
the serpent from Serpent's Past. It's
yeah,
it's not a combination of animals. It's just its own thing. Like
yeah,
canyon crawler isn't really. I mean, you can make an argument. It's like a spider, fly, mantis, like
yeah,
multiple things, but like
yeah,
it's just a canyon crawler. It's
yeah,
just its own little unique thing.
yeah. My
We
my
see.
problem is with that is that it was just familiar, and that's why
Mhm,
I didn't. Same thing with the flying lemur. Like we love Momo. Like who doesn't like Momo? But like
right.
I don't think any of us put flying lemur on the list at all.
No,
Um,
no,
so like I think
neither.
yeah, that's it's the same thing with me where like lemurs are just more familiar.
Mhm.
And I think they can glide in real life too. Um,
I don't
like
think
from
they
tree to
can.
like tree to tree. They
That's one
can't
of the.
glide far. They
I don't
can't do
think they can
like
glide at all. My God, no, I think you're thinking of the squirrel, the flying squirrel thing. I don't think.
no, I think
Nah, I don't think
no.
lemurs can fly, man. Like, lemurs can't glide either. I don't.
I
I'm a,
thought they could
I'm
glide like short
I'm
distance.
like 85% sure they cannot glide. They have no gliding
You might be
ability.
right. I just thought they could.
Okay, we can look
But
it up
short
later.
distance. I'm not saying like Momo where like he was actually like flying. I'm saying like just from
Yeah,
tree to tree. Like
I don't think they
like
could.
a flying squirrel. But
I don't think they could.
okay, okay.
Another one.
Comment below, people.
Comment
Let's see.
below. Yeah, yeah. Subscribe.
Yeah.
It's the subscribe button. Another real quick before we move on. Gorilla Goat barely missed our top 10, which would
That was
be
Flopsy, right?
Flopsy. I think I had him at like pretty high. I feel like. Um, so yeah. I don't want to throw out too many honorable
Yeah, I
mentions,
mean, yeah.
but yeah. So I mean, there's another pretty big one too. We'll end it at this, but the moose lion, saber tooth moose lion, did
Yeah,
not make the
yeah,
list.
yeah. Creative creature. I mean, I'll admit that.
Kind
Um,
of big, a little too big for me.
yes, massive. Except for Fufu Cuddly Poops, but
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. Again, subscribe if you have not. We're inching towards the 100 mark. And yeah, we greatly appreciate it. Also, comment below. Comment below on what are some of your favorites, maybe some that did not make our list or that we did not talk about today. Again, this is actually a list of Avatar: Last Airbender and Legends of Korra. The majority of them are from Avatar: Last Airbender because Legends of Korra didn't introduce too many, and we try not to do very like backgroundy animals. These are mainly animals that have something to do with the plot or something to do with the adventure. Um, so we're not talking about something that's so in the like. There's a scene where Korra's, I think she's sailing, and there's like a dolphin that has wings. Like we're not talking about something like that. We're talking about these are mainly just they have a little bit more substance to the story. Um, and there's not a lot of those in Korra. So let's go ahead and do our number 10. You were a lot higher on this than I was. With 21 points, the dragon.
Yes. I had yeah, my dragon was number 1 for me.
Yeah, yeah, this was one of the rare occasions where you had him at number 1. He was not dragons were not on my top 15, so we gave it a 20. But because he was so high on your list, it barely cracked the top 10 at 21. So,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, again, it kind of goes back to like what we talked about before with a couple other of the creatures that don't really have. I mean, a dragon's just a dragon. Dragons are awesome, but when we're talking about uniqueness and interesting combinations and things that the creators created, dragons at the end of the day just a dragon. Now, if it was like a dragon bear or something, you know what I mean? Like if they
Yeah.
combine dragon and something, then maybe. But what? I mean, what's up with you and dragons? You love dragons?
I thought the designs were really cool. I thought it was just a bigger Mushu from Mulan, uh,
Okay.
with the Roku dragon, and then obviously with the Firebending Masters, like, they were so uniquely colored, uh, that
Hmm.
they're with their designs and their layout. Um, yeah, I mean, I thought just they were super powerful creatures. They are uh, you know, they're an animal guide to the
Yeah.
Avatar in the Fire Nation. Um, or at least they were. And I guess they are now again, or
Um, there's no confirmation that there's more than just Zuko's dragon alive
okay,
in Korra.
o- okay,
And many assume that that golden egg that Zuko picks up that has a heartbeat
yeah,
ends up being actually a dragon egg, which ends up being Zuko's dragon. Um,
well, that's
that's
really
that's
cool.
that's a theory slash a lot of people's um head canon, I guess you could say.
That's cool.
Yeah. Um, I
Yeah,
mean,
so
I
like,
think.
yeah, that's just my like overall reason. I think they have an interesting backstory with
Mhm.
like firebenders, especially hunting dragons down, um, and wanting them to get eliminated to earn the title dragon. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's just the lore
The lore,
behind it,
yeah. We
behind
we
them
spoke
as
about
well.
this too.
That was
We spoke
fascinating.
about this too. I think this is my theory. I don't think I read this anywhere. Sometimes I forget to be honest, but I think I made this up. um, that the dragons, because they're majestic and they're peaceful creatures, really, they were against the Fire Nation attacking the rest of the world, and maybe a couple of them were loyal. Like for instance, Sozin's dragon was most likely loyal to him, but the
Right,
majority of the dragons resented it. So that's why they hunted down the dragons and killed the dragons, because the dragons actually were not on the Fire Nation side when it came to world dominance. And and so and eventually they made those titles. They said we had to kill the dragons, and they made it into sport where realistically it was more of a power struggle. It was like dragons are against us.
right.
So that's my again another headcanon theory. Okay. Well, number 9 um, was the Komodo rhinos, which also has 21. Another Fire Nation steed, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
Um, which we don't really see. I talked to you about this last time, which I kind of agree with what you said. It's odd we see the Zuko and his crew have the rhinos in the first like 3 episodes. We see him, I think, like 2 or 3 times in the first like 5 episodes from Zuko, and then you never see him again.
right.
Um, yeah, you said what was your theory about why we don't see him again?
I don't remember. No, um, no, it was um, I think I said something along the lines of like they were mostly on like there was no need to for them to use them anymore because you had June and the shear shoot to find them. Got in every scene you see them that they're on, you see Zuko and his crew uh being on the ship, you know? Like, they're not on land, so there's no need to see the rhinos. Um, so my thing was that a nece there wasn't a necessary, uh
You also mentioned that like they went after like the first 2 or 3 episodes, Zuko and Iroh stopped having the team of men from the ship join them in their little adventures. The first couple episodes, it was like Zuko. I felt like Zuko would attack a town, and there would be 5 or 6 guys with him. Kyoshi,
Right,
obviously did it in the first episode, and then like as the episodes go on, episode like probably basically after that, they no longer join. It's more Iroh Zuko centered because they're trying to build Zuko into a character and less of a
right.
just a threat that shows up. Um, but I always thought those animals were pretty cool. I didn't know they were Komodo rhinos.
Yeah.
I just thought they were just rhinos. Um, Number 8, another one where I think you had this a little bit higher than me, although I do. I think I put it in my top. I definitely put it in my top 15. The Unagi.
Yes.
Um, and we had actually that was 20 points. The other two were 21. Um, I
Yep.
mean, you had it pretty high. I mean, what's your overall thoughts? Is it just you just like the look of it?
Yeah, it's just like a big giant serpent, you know? It's just like the serpent. No. Um, the abilities it has, it can shoot water from its mouth. It's just a huge ass giant eel shooting water. Um, it was played out to be this huge, like, lore of a monster at Kyoshi.
Yeah.
Um, like, it would eat koi fish or, um, like, what I'm saying
You
is,
eat koi fish? Like, okay, cool. Like, it eats fish.
like, 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 it would eat giant fish, like in, like, Star Wars Episode 1, where, like, there's always a bigger fish. Um, that's what
Mm.
that's the kind of vibes that it gave me. Um, but
Kind of forgot about the water part. I forgot it could spit water. It's very much
yeah,
Pokemon. It's like Gyarados.
yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of like a Gyarados looking thing. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know where did I put Nagi?
There's nothing super special. I mean, that's why I made 8.
Yeah,
You know?
Unagi was kind of higher than I thought it would be. Because where did I put Unagi?
I think you did you
You put
listen?
I don't know. I mean, I had
No,
to put it
you
in the
did,
top
you did.
15. It was like 12 maybe.
Yeah, you hit a 15.
15. So it barely made the top 15 for me. And that means you had to have it like at number 5.
Yeah,
So it was, yeah, because like for me, again, it's like a kind of it barely made it on my top 15. It's just kind of a creature, but it is kind of a unique looking thing.
right.
So number 7, Badger Mole,
Yes.
which I think Badger Mole is interesting in a couple of different ways. You have obviously the lore part, which you make an argument that they have the most lore of any creature in the Avatar world.
Yeah.
At least from Avatar: Last Airbender, we get a lot more lore from lion turtles later on. But just the idea that they are the original teachers of earth bending, you get a little lore with Toph and how she learned earth bending through the Badger Moles. We see him at multiple times in the series, used to either clean up like matches, like when Toph was doing her um, Blind Bandit days. We see him multiple times in different caves. So I mean, they're different. They're definitely creatures that have a good, a good lore in this world, a good presence in this world. Um, the idea that they can bend as well, being one of the original benders.
They
Um,
help tell the story.
they help tell the story, and they're cool looking. I mean, they're blind, so it kind of matches Toph, parallels with Toph, and her whole story of how she became Earthbender.
Yeah.
And they're pretty cool looking, cool beasts, you could
One
say.
one thing that I like that one quick question. I didn't know that all badger moles were blind. I just thought the ones that Toph learned from were blind.
I'm assuming they were all blind because
Okay.
the ones they ran into in the Cave of Two Lovers were also blind.
But did we know that?
Yeah, because remember they were sniffing them, and then they were like, "Oh, they're music lovers." So I'm
Okay,
gonna say they were.
sure.
Um, I think moles in real life are blind too.
Oh, okay,
It's the badger part or the mole part. I think moles are blind.
okay.
I'm making it up. Um, Speaking of the Cave of Two Lovers, um, tying with the badger moles at 19 were the
Yes,
wolf bats,
yes.
which I believe was the only episode we see wolf bats in. But those are really cool. I mean, for one of my favorite creatures are wolves,
Okay,
and just being able to combine them, they made them a little bit smaller than wolves, probably more of the size of like a small dog,
yep.
and then gave them wings as well. I think that's just a really cool concept. Um, and I mean, me being like a Warhammer guy, um, I feel like that's something that like the army would have, vampire counts back in the day would have. So yeah, I mean, you put them pretty high too. I don't know how high I put them, but
I
you
had 14.
14, so I put them at 5. Yeah, I really like maybe looking back a little too high, but yeah, I mean they're they're one of the more, in my opinion, one of the more unique. Like I like the idea of putting two. They have the same vibe. Like putting two animals that have the same vibe together.
Yes.
Wolves and bats have kind of the same vibe in the sense of like knights. And again, I kind of go back to when I played Warhammer. When I still play Warhammer Fantasy. One of the armies was, because I don't think they're around anymore.
Yeah.
The vampire counts, and you'd have dire wolves. You'd have vampire. You'd have bat creatures. So it's like that whole vibe of bats and wolves kind of combining, Twilight, I guess you could say, combining into a creature is pretty cool.
Right. No, yeah, you've nailed it on the head. Um, they're creepy looking creatures when we get introduced to them. They're like, oh my gosh, what are those things? It's like they're coming at soccer in the group,
Hmm.
in the nomads. Um,
We don't see him again, do we? At
no,
that episode. It's a shame.
nope. But they are a good choice. Very good choice.
Um, so at number 5, at 16, so it seemed like once we got like to number 5, we were pretty close when it came to like what we had in common. Um, Number 5 with 16 points was the eel hound,
Yes.
which is not the animal that Azula and her crew are riding in the chase episode and a couple other episodes. It is the episode we see, or it is the creature we see in the finale that Sokka and Toph and Suki take to get to the Fire Nation in the finale. Um,
Hmm.
Said to be the fastest animal on land and in the sea. Um, what?
Do you? It's funny that you mentioned that. In my mind, it just immediately goes to when we first see the eel hound in the water, where it's just like we're
Looks
going
like
so
it looks, yeah.
slow, going so
It
slow.
looks Well, it looks like the Loch Ness monster. Yeah, yeah, he's been running for the entire day. Um, yeah, I mean, it's a cool creature. It looked like the Loch Ness monster when it was like kind of swimming. It's a cool creature. Um, when it comes to like steeds and things that people ride, I mean, it's definitely up there. I mean, we have a couple that we're gonna be mentioning here coming up soon. But I mean, yeah, again, it's like combining two animals. You have a hound, a fast tracking dog, and then you have an eel, something that's fast in the water. You combine them, and you kind of make this cool creature that we see again, not too much,
Right.
but it is a pretty cool creature.
Yep.
So number 4 is with 11 points. Is the I don't know if I'm saying it. I don't even know. Is it the vulture hornet or hornet vulture? I might be. I
I
don't
would
even
say
know.
vulture hornet.
I'll look it up. I wrote it down.
Oh, it's hornet vultures.
Is it?
Yeah, it's on the list. It is.
Well, I know. I don't know. Oh, it's. I did. It's neither. It's the. It's buzzard wasp.
Bu-
We didn't get either of them right. Um, yeah, it's a buzzard wasp. But yeah, just neat looking creatures. I mean, one of them almost killed Appa, or not Appa, Momo.
yeah.
Um, one of the maybe the only creature we see in the entire Avatar: Last Airbender series that dies.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, just neat creatures. I like the idea that they're in the desert as well. That adds another little mix to them. That they're these like these desert creatures that find probably dead people and dead animals that get lost in the desert, and maybe they use the bee, the honey to attract people to that main spot, and then they can't get out or whatever. I don't know, I'm making up something, but they just seem like a really cool, interesting creature. I wish we got more of them. Um,
Right.
it's interesting how in Korra we see this shark, the sand shark, which
Yeah.
by the way, I think neither of us even put in our top 10 because it is kind
Nope.
of just a shark. Um, but it's like, why didn't they could have just went back to the buzzards? Like the buzzards could have been chasing them, and you could have
True.
seen them bend and hitting the buzzards and stuff. So it's odd they didn't go back to that. Um,
True.
I mean, any thoughts on those buzzards before we move on?
No, again, they're like the wolf bat in my opinion, like just cool concept with two combined creatures uh that are disgusting looking, that are especially in groups.
Hmm.
Um, you know, they're the way that they make their hives, remind you of a wasp. Um just unique creatures that make sense to live in a desert. It was a it was a
Hmm.
great concept by Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko. Very good design for them.
Two animal going back to the, yeah, like you said, wolf bats, like two creatures that give you the same vibe. Like when you think of like buzzards, you think of wasps, you think of, just kind of like, again, like kind of like you said, like disgusting not disgusting, I hate to say disgusting, but like creepy looking creatures that are
Yeah.
like just like kind of a pain in the butt and are kind of just like they go after dead animals, and like that's just like the same vibe. Um, when you think of when I think of Pokemon, like the starter Pokemon in the beginning of the game, I always think of like Pidgey and Rattata are the nice ones, and then it's like
Yeah.
Spearow and
Beedrill.
Beedrill are the mean ones. Yeah, so it's just like that mindset of like these like
Yep.
mean animals that attack people.
Yep.
Um, so yeah. All right. Well, number three
Number three.
is the Flying Bison, also at 11. Um, which the main reason I put Appa so high, or the Flying Bison so high, is I don't think they're unique creatures. I really don't. They are obviously a little bit different than buffalo with the tail and with 6 feet, and the fact that they can fly. But I think it was really creative that the creators made this beast that the main characters, or just the story revolves around when it comes to traveling place to
Right.
place. And it's just the creature that they ride. You don't really see that in most series. Like whenever, even if it's a traveling series, you're not thinking about the animal, and obviously we've talked about this before with Appa, but the fact that he is very much a character. They made a very, very big story arc around him. Um, so um, him as it's as a creature when it comes to flying bison in general, I don't think are too unique. But I love the concept of people flying on them. I love
Right.
the idea of just what they did with the flying bison themselves.
Right.
What say you?
I'm not surprised you have that opinion. I really don't. Because you suck. But so just have to slide that in there. No, but in all like realism, I'm not surprised as I got that concept of, have them being overrated, and I can see someone's argument for that. Um, but I think having a bison fly like that, and how it's an animal guide for
Hmm.
an for airbenders avatar, uh, like they're herd animals like bison. Um, they made them friendly like their dogs. Like they were, it was like they
They're a
had their
large dog.
they had the personality of a dog,
Yeah,
their pet dog. Um, and like like it's like a man's best friend is a dog, and you
yeah.
hear one of the female air nomads say like a sky bison, a sky bison's a companion for life, and so like it's that kind of similarity that I connected with, and so um,
Hmm.
and not airbend, they can airbend, um, yeah,
There's
it's
layers
it's similar to the dragons, and that's why they're number two. That's why it's number two.
for you. Okay. Yeah, there's
It's a
layers to it. It's like obviously you connect with Appa as a character, so it's hard to take Appa as a character out of the bison themselves. Because we can make an argument. Really, the only thing that's close, any animal that's even relatively close to an actual character is Appa. Where even like um Naga.
yeah,
She's not. You don't think of Naga as a character. It's like, oh, she's a steed that kind of is there once in a blue moon.
right,
Um, so like, there's layers. There's the Appa layer. There's the idea of the actual animal itself, the abilities,
right.
all that stuff. It kind of layers together. So, all right, number two with 6 points, um, is the lion turtle.
Yes.
Um, speaking of layers, lion turtle very much has a lot going on from the lore, um, to the design, to its ability, I guess you could say. Well, not only ability to talk and actually communicate with humans, which I think is the only actual animal we see that with the ability to communicate with humans.
Unless you're Appa and Momo in Nightmares and Daydreams.
Yeah, yeah. Shush, cheddar monkey. Um, no, yeah. So the ability to communicate with humans, and then obviously energy bending as well. So a lot of things going on with the lion turtles.
Yep.
I mean, particularly you said you put that number one. No,
I had dragons at number 1.
dragon number one.
Lion Turtle was number 3 for me.
Okay, it was my three as well. Yeah, I mean,
They're
I
just,
guess what stands
they
out?
no, I mean, they're a combination, they're a combination of
Combination of what? No, I mean, I your dog's barking. So I mean, personally, why I like them, why they stand out for me is the lore. The lore of lion turtles, how people lived on them, um, and kind of just the idea and the concept. I think it's something that they obviously pulled from. We've seen like other series and stuff do things like lion turtles, or at least like like turtle planets and stuff like that. Like that whole concept has been used, but they did it in a really unique, cool way. And then obviously the energy bending stuff. Is your dog still barking?
yes.
He's just freaking out. Anything you want to say before we move on? No.
Sure, okay. Um, but yeah, like, I'll blah, blah, blah. But, no, I mean, it's just, again, it's about the lore, it's about they're a combination of a lion and a turtle.
I hate you so bad.
No, but you can't bend on them, in the octagon.
Yeah, you can. That's why Aang knew he wasn't in the spirit world.
Like,
Remember,
he airbended, you're right.
he airbend. He couldn't earthbend it because
That's
it
what it
wasn't made
was.
of earth. Yeah,
Yes. That's it, yes.
yeah. That's why I like them because they're not made of earth.
That's
I know you.
there's a forest on his back, just like me.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's interesting to think the one he ran into was I don't know, I would say younger one, but it was a smaller one because that lion turtle was not as big as a city.
No.
So, um, number one with 5 points between me and you. Is the sheer shoe.
Yeah,
June's steed, I guess you could say.
yeah,
I guess you want to go for first on this one.
yeah. I mean, again, just cool concept of it's like an anteater and a Komodo rhino combined. Would you say?
I would say it's a combination of an anteater and some type of large wolf. I want to say
Oh,
Komodo rhino, but I would say like a wolf, an anteater, and maybe like a bear.
okay.
I'm gonna look it up. Keep talking though.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, just the concept, like we'll talk about skills first. Like, sensing where something or someone is just by like a scent and a smell, where it can like pick the colors of that scent and differentiate between those colors and
Mhm.
finding said thing or said someone. Which is really cool. You can ride them like a rhino, like it's like a or like a rob what?
It's just funny. You could ride that like a rhino. It's like or like a horse. Like you just go to a rhino.
'Cause I'm thinking about the Komodo rhino, okay?
I know you are. It's just funny how you said
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I know you
You could ride them like a rhino. Like, oh, I don't know if you could ride rhinos, but keep going.
anyway,
No, by the way, they're anteaters, wolves, and star-nosed moles. So yeah, the facial feature is the mole. Then you have obviously the body of a wolf, and then kind of a combination of like the legs and tail of an anteater, as well as like kind of the ability of an anteater because it sniffs and
I
stuff.
see.
So
Yeah.
and it has the long tongue as well for an
Yeah.
anteater. So
Yeah, that's it.
yeah, no, it's cool. I mean, again, it's like it's a really cool concept to revolve a story around, which they use twice, which is, we need to find someone we can use the sense of
Right.
something. This animal can find it. Um, obviously, it's a strong creature. Um, it can use its senses, but also it has the tongue that can stun somebody, which is really cool. So it's a really cool. It's kind of like it almost again going back to like it reminds me kind of like a Pokemon in a sense. Um, like this blind creature that can use senses and it has like a tongue that can attack. Like it's a really interesting concept. Not to mention it has looks like deadly sharp claws.
Right.
So, yep, that's our favorite creature. Um,
The sheer shoe.
the Shearshu. Um, quick time for a little game, real quick.
Sure, Matt. We'll play a game.
All right, you want to do another blind reveal?
Sure.
Blind reveal.
Sure.
So today we talked about animals.
Yes.
I'm going to do a blind reveal
Blind reveal.
of spirits.
Oh.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, um, let's start
With
with I'm gonna butcher his name, the
okay.
owl. Let's just go with the owl. Let's just call him the
Yuan
owl.
Shi Tong.
Wan Shi Tong. Wan Shi Tong, the spirit of knowledge. Where would you?
Hmm.
And we'll go with not power, obviously. Let's just go with coolness. How cool we
Yeah.
think they are. How interesting, just like we did with
Like
the
out of
animals.
4 out of 5.
No, it's a blind reveal. So
Mhm.
you're putting your five in order without knowing what's
Oh,
next.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you're saying you're just
Yeah,
okay, I gotcha.
I'm waiting. The owl. Go ahead. Where is it?
Anyway, Um,
Oh, your dog's barking. You know, I was like, "What are you doing? Why are you staring at me?"
um,
Our dogs are barking at each other. Jesus Christ. Try to be quiet, bud.
I'll put him at 2.
Okay. Uh, the moon spirit.
3.
Moon spirit. Um, the face stealer.
1.
Ooh, it's turned out to be an okay list. Hey, bye.
5.
Hey, bye gets some. You know what's crazy about Hey, bye? I wish he came back.
They did.
When? Hey, bye never came back.
Yes, he did.
When?
During the Siege of the North. Matt,
What?
during the Siege of the North.
That's what I'm saying. At the end of the season, that doesn't count. I mean, he's there for 3 seconds.
What?
The
No, that
Yeah, but
counts.
I would have liked to. I would have loved to have him come back in like season 3.
Okay,
That would have
you're
been
right.
cool.
I would agree too, Matt. Now let's go on.
4 is your last one. It's the painted lady.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
So, all right. Well, guys, again, comment below of some of the animals that we might have missed or your favorite animals. Subscribe for Avatar content, anime content. We're gonna start talking about some childhood favorites of ours, not just Avatar's Airbender, but some other shows as well. So definitely check that out. Wednesdays, um, episode 20. So 20 down. Maybe we'll get to 100 subscribers by episode 40.
Let's hope.
All right. See you.
See you, Cabbage Crew. Thanks for tuning in.